On behalf of the organizations that make up the Kahnawake Communications Network, hello and welcome to the Storytellers Vault, brought to you by the Case Populaire Kahnawake's Community Development Fund. The Tellers Vault allows budding Kahnawake Hirono producers the opportunity to pitch their idea for a new local TV show to 5 community judges. Each judge has $1,000 to offer producers to get their pilot project off the ground, and each producer is hoping to obtain as much cash as possible to make their pilot project a success. And now, let's meet the judges.
I'm Denon Phillips. I work at K103 Radio. I am a radio host and personality. How I got involved in this project? I was asked to do it. I really enjoy working around cameras and being in front of it, being behind it. Just the whole technical world of film and television is my world, really. I am the technical guy in all of this, so I have a vision as to how it goes. And if their vision matches mine, then we're going to make some gold.
My name is Andrew Tanahoga de Delil, and I'm an old politician. I've been in politics for many years, so I'm still involved in that. And right now my objective is to push the vision statement. From 1980, when the people had a meeting that they want to go back to a new type of living and government, and I got involved there. And then when this vision statement came about, I said this is the follow-up of all of that time in 1980, and this was 2009. So I was pretty happy I took it up at that point in time, and I had a lot of difficulty getting people interested, but now it's going pretty well. I'm looking for something that relates to our ancestral way of thinking and our ancestral way of doing things. That's what I'm interested in. Anything that they talk about that reminds us of that and that we have to do something about it. This is important for me.
Kateri Erstreich. I am a community member from Kahnawake. I've lived here for the past 25 years or so. I'm a volunteer within the Kahnawake Fire Brigade and active within our community on various levels and employed at KSCS currently. You know, getting our culture and language out there is really important, but it's also important to do it in an entertaining way that grasps people's attention and makes them motivated to want to learn more. So I think that's where we're going to go today.
My name is Joe Delaronde. I've been involved in media for over 35 years and the last 17 with the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. You know, the opportunity here to do a little extra trying to promote language and cultural initiatives is something I think is important, and that's kind of why I'm here today. Hopefully one of these things really sticks, and maybe 2 or 3, and then we have some continuity, and these things can, you know, we can breathe life into something and it'll last for a long time. That's what I hope.
Yes, my name is Francine Chapman, and I'm from Manitoba, and I currently work at Cattery School as school counselor. Well, I saw this ad in the email, and I looked at it and it looked really, really interesting, and I want to promote education and culture, and I think it's very important to be that here in Kahnawake for Mohawk people, since you guys are a very, very proud nation. I think the most important part is to promote culture and awareness and education.
On this week's episode, we are pleased to present Ieronhienhá McComber's completed project titled Language Master Class here on the Tellers Vault. Before we go to the completed show, though, we asked Ieronhienhá to tell us about her project.
My name is Ieronhienhá McComber, and the show that I'd like to produce is called Kanien'kéha Master Class. And what it is it features a few guests per episode who either are first language speakers or second language speakers, and it gives them an opportunity to tell their story of how they became a speaker, and to hopefully inspire the audience that's watching.
Okay, so why don't you tell us who you are and pitch us your idea.
Okay, my name is Ieronhienhá McComber. My idea is, it's called the Kanien'kéha Master Class, and it's inspired by Oprah's Master Class. In watching that show, I'm always inspired by hearing people's stories, their life stories. And what I would like to do is inspire our community, and maybe in the entire Mohawk Nation, maybe the Confederacy, who are watching, to become speakers themselves. So it would feature first language speakers and second language speakers who have gone through some type of experience in learning their language, and hopefully they can share that with the audience.
Okay. Well, What type of show do you want to make it into? Like, it sounds like it's a talk show. Like, basically, we're all in one room and.
Okay, it's not necessarily a talk show. I mean, there will be someone there to ask questions to the person to lead into their story. There will be a series of questions that they would ask, and so the person that's being featured would tell their story, and there would be visuals to go along with it, whether it's pictures that they have or some kind of video to give a visual about the story that they're sharing.
Okay.
When we talk about entertainment, what type of entertainment value are you giving this to keep people intrigued and wanting to watch this show?
Entertainment value. Oh, I'm not really sure, to be honest. But what I guess it wouldn't be just like flat. It would show their expressions. It would show like close-ups. It would show the front of them and the side of them, and it would, like I said, give some visuals also.
Is the storytelling all about positive or some negative?
It's both positive and negative, because with
Okay.
every success there are many failures, and a
Yes.
lot of people see people out there being successful.
Right.
Maybe like in this case it's speakers. So if you are a speaker now, right? But you've gone through many hardships, and so it shows people that it's work to become a speaker, and it shows people that it's not been easy for everybody who is a speaker. So this way it'll motivate them to get going. It'll show them that it's not too late. There are so many people out there who have inspired me of different ages and
what kind of
different
a
backgrounds.
couple questions that you'd be asking? What kind of questions?
Well, one of the questions would maybe be, how did you grow up? Did you have the language growing up in your home? And then they could tell that story, because everybody who is Ieronhienhá can relate.
Yeah.
Are you in that same boat? Kind of, where you did you speak Kanien'kéha right from birth, or?
Not at all. No, I learned as an adult. So a lot of people tell me, oh, you inspire me so much, I want to go and learn, and I know people who've inspired me, you know, and I just like to share that with people to motivate them.
And obviously you already have an idea of some people that you'd like to have on the program.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Okay,
I
so
do.
you're looking
But
for
there
you're
could
looking,
always be new people.
yeah, you're looking for $1,000, and you know.
Yeah, you look at teaching as something that has much to do with the vision statement of Kahnawake. You know, I think I like that because it's necessary. Just one comment I like to make from hearing the people in the past. I'm not fluent, but hearing it was a lot of entertainment in the way they talked. It was never serious. And I think in these days I'm seeing people teaching, but they have a stoic face, you know. And I think there should be more animation to it, because that's the way the people used to talk in the past.
And you have different people from different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
So it would feature elders who are first language speakers,
Right.
who can share life experience
Yeah.
and how they held on to their language. You have second language speakers who learned maybe when they were young, maybe in school, but maybe they learned as adults, and share that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Share what worked for them. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of different things that work, and share what didn't work for them. And you'll see different people sharing their stories. So you'll see what worked for one may have worked, what didn't work for one may have worked for another person, and vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah.
From a technical standpoint, I mean, there's not much going on here. I mean, it's a very valuable show when it comes to the language and the culture and things like that. But from the production value of asking for $1,000, it's a bit high for this type of show, because it's I guess it's almost like a talk show. You're going back and forth, learning each other's language, but there's no real, I guess, a lot of technical abilities in this for this. So I'm going to pass on this one. But I'm sure that's because it's got to do with a lot with the language and the culture, that somebody here will help you out.
And I gotta say, I gotta pass too when it comes to the entertainment value of how do we engage people to be really into that and want to be excited about it. And it's just not doing something for me on the entertainment aspect of
But I don't
watching
agree,
something.
though. I don't agree,
Okay.
because she can make it entertaining if she really wants to, because I've seen her work before, and I'm pro language, pro culture, and I think she could make it entertainment, really entertainment.
You willing to back that up with some money?
Yeah, I'm willing to back her up.
Go for it.
Sure.
How much?
Because I think, for me, I'm not from the community. I'm from Manitoba. I'm Cree. But I still know how to speak some Mohawk, but I wish I could learn the language completely, because I work at the school, and those kids, they need to be taught Mohawk all the time, all the time, all the time. So I think it's perfect. I'm willing to give you money, 400.
I'll go along with that. I think I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen. So 400 too.
And, well, I mean, I see what you've been doing over the years. And I see it's very obvious what's in your heart. It's not, and when somebody puts something into a proposal like this, you can tell where it comes from. And it's for all the right reasons, and for that very reason, I'm willing to throw in 400 as well. So, actually, you're coming up with more than 1,000 in this
Wow.
case. So,
Good.
congratulations.
Thank you. I would just like to share also, I have experience in creating a show. I'm a facilitator and coordinator at Ieronhienhá, which is a language nest for parents and children. And last year we created, through strict volunteering, we created a children's show that features short segments in the language. So it offers a cooking segment, a child's play segment. It features outdoor play. It features storytelling, and it features daily exercise. It's singing, and it's been well received. And so I do have experience in making things entertaining.
Oh, good, good.
All right, well
Good luck with
then,
that.
then there you go. Well, we're proud to say that you've gotten your request and actually a little bit more. Congratulations.
Yep, congratulations.
Congrats.
You know.
We asked Ieronhienhá for her reaction after meeting the judges.
Oh, well, actually, each of the three people were offering 400. So in the end, I thought that I was only getting 400. So it was a really nice surprise to find out that I was getting actually more than I asked for. So I'm really happy about that. I felt a lot of pressure. It was very hot. I'm not used to doing this type of thing. I'm not a filmmaker. But I felt like since I did do a show in the past that I am capable. So I felt confident. What's going on here? Ieronhienhá wigi KahnawakeTV ganagade. Kanien'kéha gadawiyesta garduga. Welcome to Kanien'kéha Master Class, a series profiling both first language Ieronhienhá speakers and second language Ieronhienhá speakers at various levels on the proficiency scale. Every speaker has a different reality and an interesting story to tell about how they arrived to where they're at in life. We all have faced obstacles at some point in our lives, but we've all triumphed in some way, and whether it seems big or small, we do experience success. Our featured guests share their stories, their realities of what it took for them to make the choice to become avid second language learners and speakers. Our goal in creating this series is to encourage you, wherever you are in your language learning journey. We encourage you to persevere. We encourage you to challenge your limits, and we encourage you to speak. On this premiere episode, we'll be talking to two speakers who have influenced me a great deal and whose stories I felt were important for all Ieronhienhá to hear. We welcome Jada Hopper, a mother of four in the beginning stages of her language learning, determined to teach her children in the home. A privilege that was taken away from all of us at one time in our history. Someone who has already surpassed many hurdles that many emerging speakers face, and who is well on her way to becoming a strong Ieronhienhá speaker. We also welcome Dio Barnes, a young adult who was determined to become a speaker at a young age, and whose proficiency level has now reached the advanced stages. She's a teacher in an immersion school and a strong advocate for the language. Enjoy.
My name is Jada Hopper, and I'm Onondaga Beaver Clan from Onondaga near Syracuse, New York.
Gaedio Yajats, KahnawakeTV, Ganagere, Dano Gantawageno, Dawasa Oskana Dogosriago, Dano Quakadawaste, Nair the Dimona near that's Zosredina had Dagadohetste, so on Zosrona, Tiank Gwenny Qua Angadadi.
Yeah, we heard basic command words: sit down, come here, stop it, stuff like that. And the school that I went to was the Onondaga Nation School, and it was an immersion, but we had language and culture class.
Well, I think my upbringing is much of the same as many of the members of the community. Where growing up, I didn't hear it that much. I heard it in school. And my parents, they never really had the opportunity to learn. So in the home, I didn't hear it. It was mostly at school, every day at school. And my grandfather, he would come visit me. He would, we'd sit at the kitchen table together. And having that, being in the immersion growing up, I did have a certain level of fluency, so I was able to speak with him. We would talk to each other for sometimes like hours on end. But as I grew up, going to grade 5 and grade 6 in the immersion, it became just English. So that's when it slowly started to dissipate, kind of.
I sought it out a little bit more when there was opportunities to learn. Like we had a lady come down, I think she was Mohawk, but she was part of, I don't remember her name, but she was part of an immersion program somewhere, and she came down to try to implement those things for like a summer program at Onondaga. She got into, it wasn't so much vocabulary words, it got into more of like how the words change depending on who you talk to and what you're referring to and stuff like that. My mom did grow up with Onondaga. Her grandmother used to speak to her, and she says that she was pretty much fluent when she was younger, but just her mother didn't use it, and so it kind of got lost, and she just kind of forgot everything, and she didn't really use it with us. So, but there was still like some words that she would remember and she would use with us. And so that's how I learned Onondaga. Coming up here, I moved here, it's been almost 10 years ago now. And my son, he's 8 now. He started at 2 years old in immersion school, and that's what his father really wanted. And at the time, I just kind of was going with the flow. It didn't really matter to me, like the language so much. I mean, it did, but growing up with so little of it myself, I felt like, well, I'm not that bad off or whatever, you know, like there's always time to learn kind of a thing.
Because I remember my grandfather, he would come visit, and I would be sitting there at the table still, and he'd be trying to speak with me, and I didn't understand him anymore. I couldn't even reply, and that like sticks with me.
It was for my kids, I think, you know, like I said, we're putting them, why are we putting them in immersion school? Why do we want them to learn it? Because we're Ieronhienhá and we should learn the language. It's not Onondaga, but it's so similar that it's gonna benefit us in the long run to know Kanien'kéha. Like, it's your Ieronhienhá, that's who you are, that's the language you should know. You know, I always heard you have to speak it in the home, you have to speak it in the home, but you don't realize really how big of an impact that has. Because my husband went to immersion school up until high school, and you'd think all of that you would learn a lot, and he's forgotten a lot. Like, and he says even year by year, every year he goes to Longhouse or whatever, and he can understand less and less just by not using it, never hearing it, you know. So we try to support each other in the home. I'll try to remind him, no, you gotta use the language, how do you say this? And I'll ask him, and with all of us learning and using it, he's remembering more and more, and I'm learning more and more, and the kids are learning more, so it's all helping everybody.
I feel my biggest regret is, well, right now, where I am right now, you know, we all have our own excuses. We all say, oh, I'm busy or this and that, but there's so many people, elders, speakers in this community that I should be going and talk to them. I should be putting myself in that situation. I should be trying to speak as much as I can with them and hear their stories. I think that's my biggest regret, but not so much regret because it's more of a motivation to do so. It's like I can admit that I'm not doing it as much as I can. And I think that's something that I really need to work towards, because those elders, those speakers in our community, once they pass, that's a whole lifetime worth of stories and knowledge that disappears, and I don't want to see it disappear. That's one of the biggest things that we have to fight for and work towards to keep in this community.
My kids are gonna benefit from it, and it doesn't matter that it's not Onondaga we're learning. It's for the betterment of all of us. And you know, years ago, everybody spoke everything, so it's like, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? And I'm mad at myself now because it took me so long to realize that, and I wish I had started this 7 years ago, you know, when they started immersion school, and we all could have been the better for it, but I didn't, and I'm here now, and I'm trying my best, and you know, we'll see how it goes.
It's endangered. All of our indigenous languages, they're endangered. And people don't realize how bad it is, really. They'll think, oh, you know, my auntie's a speaker, or my uncle, my cousin, you know. But the fact is that it's a dying language. You look at English, everybody speaks English. You look at people of other nationalities, yes, they speak English, but they all know their mother tongue as well. So the reason why I speak it is to keep it alive, to help pass it on. The reason why I decided was to get it back, because once you lose something as valuable as your language, a part of you is missing. You don't feel whole anymore. If we don't do something about it, if we don't speak, if we don't encourage each other and uplift each other to speak our own language, it's going to disappear. And to me, that's unacceptable, because it's so easy to fall into speaking English. Everybody, you hear it in the stores, you hear it on the road, you hear it with your family in your house, you know, it's easy. It's so easy to speak English. But it can be just as easy to speak our language. We just have to do it.
It was a lot of internal things I had to deal with, because Mohawk isn't really my language. Onondaga is. I should be learning Onondaga. That was always in my head, like, well, you should be learning that. But I'm here, and the resources are here. Like, why not?
Me as a person, I'm pretty shy when you first get to know me, and that's something that I really had to overcome when I went into the program, or even just now getting to know everybody that I'm surrounded with, would be that stop being shy. No, I know it's hard to do, it's really easy to say, but you have to overcome that, because if you're too shy or you're too scared, you're afraid of making mistakes, that's gonna hold yourself back from becoming a better speaker, to become more attuned to the way people speak in our community, learning new words, meeting new people. It's all based on that. If you're too much in your shell, if you don't want to speak in class or speak to somebody on the road when you hear them talking, you're going to miss out on speaking opportunities. And that's something that I've had to overcome, because when I first started in the Ieronhienhá program, I was like super quiet. Then after a while I was like, you know what, I gotta talk. And then I think I was the most annoying person in class. I would just like talk everyone's ears off all the time. And I think that's what helped me. I had to overcome that, because if I didn't talk, how would I know if I was pronouncing things right? How would I know if, say, I don't know, it has to do a lot with taking a deep breath and just doing it. And a lot of the times too, what I think that helped me was listening to other people. If somebody's telling you how to say a word, don't get down on yourself. Don't be like, oh man, I messed up. Just be like, okay, I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna repeat it, say it over and over. And don't take one thing as being the only word, because sometimes there's different dialogues, there's different, well, not dialogue, dialect. There's different dialects, there's all different kinds of ways of saying things. So if you close yourself off to only one way, you're missing a whole area of your language education. So I think one of the biggest things is just keep an open mind and to always value what other people and other speakers have to say.
Just for me, the biggest thing is using it. Like, just as much as I can remember, no matter where we go, no matter where we are, just using what we can, using what we know, and reminding the kids to use it. And if they have friends over that are in immersion, reminding them to use it, and just trying to, because for me, I think that's the biggest way to learn is to just, you have to use it. Like, you can read it all you want. I mean, I took Spanish in high school too. I know some of those words, you know, but I never actually used it really out in the real world, so I don't remember a lot of it. I think that's the easiest way to keep it in to remember the words, is to use it.
You have to be active in your learning. It's not just, okay, I've learned all these verbs, I've learned all these nouns, I can make some words out of it. No, it's like the same thing with a Becherel. Yes, you have all your verbs, you have everything, but you can't just magically be a speaker like me in high school. I had my Becherel, I couldn't speak French. It's the same thing. Anything you're gonna learn, you have to really put 110% into it. And especially for this language, because it deserves it. It deserves your effort.
I think it gives you a better understanding of your culture. Language and culture, I think, goes hand in hand. So, you know, you really can't have one or the other to totally understand. Like, you have to know both to totally understand one. They both go hand in hand, you know. When you learn the language and you learn how things are described and our connection to Mother Earth and nature and stuff like that, it really kind of solidifies being Ungwehome too, because you see things a little bit differently. Like, you see how things are described, you see how the words just incorporate nature all the time with things, and it just makes you feel more connected as Ungwehome, I think.
Well, language is culture. Without our language, there's a huge chunk of who we are that's missing. Most of our ceremonies are conducted in the language. If you look at our language, it's polysynthetic and it's really imagery based, so everything that you really say, it's not just this literal meaning. You know, it's got a whole different background to it. So if you're talking about the trees, you're actually talking about the trees, you know? And I think that really goes back to who we are as a people. We're not just, you know, how English is just words, you know, this, that, there, then. In Ieronhienhá, it's a whole different thing. You know, when you're speaking to someone, you're speaking to someone. And to be able to do that, to have that language there, you're opening the doors to learning so much more about our culture.
My advice is don't be scared, but I have a hard time taking my own advice because it's hard. Like, I think, well, for me anyway, it's like something you feel like you should know, and especially if there's people in the community or people that you're around that are speakers already, and you kind of feel like guilty, like, how come I don't, you know, like, I don't know as much as them, and I should. I'm an adult now, especially if you're an adult, you know, learning it. Like, I struggle with that all the time, but you have to just not worry about that, and you think about your own personal goals and where you want to be, and just do it, because you'll regret it later, you know, you'll regret it later. Oh, I let that fear stop me. So
don't give up. Don't ever give up. Sometimes it's been a while, because sometimes I do get frustrated with my dad. Sometimes I'll try to teach him, and there'll be certain words where he can't pronounce them, and then he'll just make a joke out of it and give up, you know. He'll make like a noise and he's like, oh, blah, 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 you know. And I think that's something that if I could tell my dad's home is the same thing I would tell everybody else. Don't give up, just keep trying. I know sometimes the words that'll come out of your mouth, they'll fall out in a funny way, or they might mean something completely different than what you're trying to say, but the fact is that you're trying, and the more you try, the easier it gets. So I would tell everybody really that's striving to become a language learner and that wants to learn as much as they can, or even just a little bit here and there, just don't give up. Don't ever give up. If it's important to you, don't give up.
I think you have to be determined. I think you have to be very determined, and you can't make excuses about anything, like, oh, I don't have the time, oh, whatever it is, I'm scared, whatever your excuse is. And this goes for anything in life, really. If you really want to do it, you'll do it, you know? And if you don't do it, then that's your own fault. Because however you're going to get there, it might take you longer than some people because you don't have as much time. Or it might take you longer than some people just because you don't learn language as quickly as some people. But you can't worry about that. You have to stay focused, and if that's what you want to do, you gotta do it.
I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not there yet. I think it takes so much work because every day you're learning, every single day. Just like with English, you know, like there'll be words that I'm like, oh, how do you say that? You know, you forget. But in the language, it's like, it goes so much more farther than English beyond that. Like there's so many verbs, there's so many nouns, there's so much to learn really, because there's words that you won't hear that often. There's there's specialty words. If you're a fisherman, there's all kinds of words that you could be learning just to do it that. And I'll be the first to admit it, I don't know anything about it. So it's like every day it's really a challenge. You have to be willing, and you have to love the language enough to really push yourself and really try and learn it, because it's a really big responsibility. There's a lot that you have to do really. But at the same time, I'm not trying to scare anybody from doing it. I'm trying to encourage you, because in order to get there, yeah, anything in life that you're gonna do is tough. There's nothing that's gonna be easy. No one that's gonna hand you this magical book and say, wow, Zahruka, you know? You have to fight for it every single day. And you have to be the kind of person who's okay with being wrong every now and again, who's okay with learning new stuff and taking opinions from other people, because there are people in this community that are going to help you become a better speaker. So I think really what it takes is an open mind, willingness, and really passion for the language. Because if you're like, oh, I'm just going to learn it, you won't learn it as much as somebody who feels it in here, who feels as if they have to do it, and if they don't do it, you know, it's like, that's how I was. I'm like, I have to do it.
I think for Kahnawake, anybody that's trying to learn here, especially, I can't speak for everywhere else, but here, like, you guys are very fortunate that you have so many resources to learn the language. Like, there's not just Ready-Wanirits, there's not just the immersion schools, there's not just the language, there's like all of those things, like, and there's so many people that speak and that are learning. Like, it's awesome. I remember like being so amazed coming up here and hearing, I think it was your kids actually, hearing little kids like talking amongst themselves, and it's like, wow, you know, it's like so amazing. Going to the bank and hearing people talk, and it's just like, for me, that we didn't have that at that time. You know, I didn't grow up hearing people just talk like that. Every now and then you'd hear elders, or when you're in Longhouse, but like everyday life going about and people talking, like, it's amazing. It's like something to be so proud of, and I just feel like people here have no excuse. You know, like if you live here, you have no excuse not to learn, because it's all there for you. The education or the cultural center has stuff for you to, books and stuff for you to pick up, and it's all there. It's all there. You just gotta put the effort in, you know.
So like a lot of people, they sometimes they find that there's a new way of speaking and they might be opposed to it. But I'm just happy that there's people speaking, you know, to where now you can go into the stores and you can maybe hear a few people speaking here and there, whereas before I don't really remember hearing that many people speaking unless it was like my grandfather and his friends, or you know, the older generation in the community. People are so much more open to speaking now. I see younger generations like getting really excited about the language, and I think that's amazing because it's really encouraging to other kids or other youth members and people in the community that they're gonna see that and be like, hey, that's awesome. If they can do it, I can too.
I haven't been doing it very long to really pinpoint a success, because I'm very hard on myself because I want to learn so much too fast, I think, and I get mad that I'm not going as fast as I want to, but it's just, you know, there's only so much you can learn, right? You can't, especially I have kids and everything, I can't just be immersed in books all the time, reading and learning words and stuff. But I think the biggest success is just, you know, being able to communicate with my kids, even if it's at a small level right now, being able to have small conversations with them or tell them what to do and they understand, or them coming to me and talking to me and me being able to understand them. And we might not always, especially me, I might not always be able to answer in the language, but a lot of times they'll be able to give it to me. I'll say, well, how do you say this and how do you say that? And they'll tell me, and then I'll be able to repeat it and remember it for the next time. And so it's cool, I think, for us, because it's an opportunity for them to teach me something, and I think they really like that. They really like being able to correct me and tell me how to say it right and all of that. And so it's kind of brought us kind of closer together, I think, too. Another way to connect with the kids, you know.
Going back to my grandfather, being able to speak with him, that's my biggest success, because that's what stuck in the back of my mind throughout the whole time that I was in school. I want to talk to him. I want to be able to speak with him again. So that was my biggest thing that I had to really push myself to be able to do, was to be able to speak with him again. And then there's all these other little successes along the road too. I mean, during the program, when I was able to finally understand when my teachers were speaking, or if I walk by and I hear some elders talking, I can understand them. That was a win for me. I'm like, yes, it's coming back. That, and then now where I am right now, I'm around a lot of children, and what I do, at the school or at the Daja, my biggest success is when I'm being there and I'm helping influence these other children to speak the language. When I see them use it, it's like you've won, you know, something's happening, you know, I don't know, I can't really explain it all the way. It's just when you see other people succeeding in using the language because of you, because you're helping push them and you're helping them to realize that they can do it themselves, that's a success in my book.
Those were some really inspiring stories. What we can take from this episode is that becoming a speaker is possible for everyone, regardless of the obstacles that we face living in today's society. But the only way to keep it alive in your home and in your community is to use it. We hope that this episode has encouraged you to continue on your path to becoming an Ieronhienhá speaker. Remember, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. But if you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. You know?
And that will wrap up this week's episode of the Storyteller's Vault. Thank you for watching. We'd like to congratulate Ieronhienhá for securing funding to create her project, and Yawagoa to the Case Populaire Kahnawake Community Development Fund for financial support, and KahnawakeTV for providing the airtime. Be sure to tune in next week for a new episode of the Teller's Vault when we will present a whole new show. Until then, Onegiwahi from inside the vault.